Before supermarkets, before kitchens, before recorded history, humans discovered something that would change civilization. The water looked ordinary, but something strange was hiding inside it. When the water disappeared, white crystals remained. Then they discovered the secret. As the water vanished under the sun, something precious was left behind. The strange crystals were not useless. They could be collected, stored, and carried, making salt a valuable resource. But why did this strange mineral matter so much? And how did humans first realize that salt could change their lives? And the answer may be older than most civilizations. Archaeologists have found evidence of humans deliberately harvesting salt thousands of years ago. In what is now Romania, people were already deliberately exploiting a salty spring around 8,000 years ago. But collecting salt from the spring wasn't enough. People learned that fire could help remove the water and leave the salt behind. As the last drops disappeared, the mystery became clear. The water was gone, but the salt remained. Salt wasn't just about flavor. Humans discovered that it could help keep food usable for much longer. By covering food with salt, early people discovered a simple way to make precious food last longer, instead of spoiling quickly. That discovery changed the value of salt. It was no longer just a strange crystal. It had become a resource worth collecting. Soon, salt became something people could trade. A small supply could be exchanged for food, tools, hides, and other valuable goods. And salt began traveling beyond the place where it was found, carried along early routes between distant communities. As salt became valuable, communities had another reason to settle near natural salt sources and work together to collect it. Places with natural salt sources became special. People could return again and again to collect this valuable mineral. Over time, collecting salt became more organized. People learned to gather, process, store, and produce it in larger amounts. As demand grew, people began improving the process, using heat and containers to produce salt more efficiently than nature alone could. Instead of waiting for nature alone, they could control the process, heating salty water and producing crystals whenever they needed them. The result was a growing supply of salt. More than one small group could use, creating something valuable enough to share and trade. Soon, salt was moving farther from its source, traveling along routes that connected communities separated by long distances. A distant community might have food or tools, while another had salt. Trade allowed both sides to gain something they could not easily find themselves. Salt was doing more than preserving food. It was helping distant communities connect, exchange goods, and depend on one another. As trade expanded, salt became more than a useful resource. Control over valuable salt sources could bring wealth, influence, and power. Eventually, humans went beyond springs. They began finding salt inside the earth itself, and learning how to extract it. Underground salt was harder to reach, but the reward was greater. Huge deposits that could supply communities for generations. Salt was now tied to something much bigger: food, trade, work, and the growth of organized communities. Across ancient communities, salt became a valuable commodity, something people could store, exchange, and carry over long distance. Thousands of years passed, civilizations changed, but the importance of salt never disappeared. Today, it sits quietly in almost every kitchen. What was once difficult to find, collect, and trade is now something most of us barely notice: a tiny crystal on the table. So, when did humans first discover salt? We may never know the exact moment, but thousands of years ago, this simple crystal was already shaping human history.